Welcome everybody. Today we're doing a very fun class. We're getting started with crypto trading using algorithms. This is like a really quick introduction to all this stuff. I can tell you about a little bit about our technology and how we do this. We'll tell you a little bit about why we want to go about doing this sort of thing and what kind of techniques we might use. And then if you're interested, we also have an entire full class on this that we can walk you through as well. Right, we'll cover that by the end of the class, right? So here's our agenda for today. First, I want to get to know you guys a little bit, right? So I'm going to be asking a few questions about, what your occupation is and all that sort of stuff. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, right? We'll talk about our company in general and the class in general. And then we'll talk about why do we want to use algorithms in general for trading. We'll talk about other companies that use algorithms. There's people are making quite a bit of money doing this stuff. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of companies that are doing it quite well using trading algorithms. Just the public ones. There's a lot more ones that are private, I'm sure. Then we'll talk about our technology and kind of how our tech works. And then probably the most fun part, I'll show you guys some demos. I'll show you guys some of the stuff in action. You guys can see basically some of our algorithms trading either live or I could show you guys some of our back tests as well, right? And then we'll cover the course itself, the larger course, if you guys want to continue on with your education here, all right? So for starters, let's get to know you guys a little bit. So who is on the call here, right? So if you guys could type this out into the chat, let's answer these 3 questions. Basically, what is your occupation? Do you know how to program, yes or no? And for how long, if you do? And then how much crypto experience do you have, right? How long have you been trading crypto, right? So I'll answer these questions first while you guys type this out. So my occupation, I'm the CEO of Lumiwealth, right? For much of my life, I've been a software engineer, or I've ran teams of software engineers, mostly in the finance space. I've worked on Wall Street for some amount of time, and now, we started our own company a little while ago, and basically it's making sure that you guys are happy, essentially, right? That's really what my job comes down to, is making sure that you guys are happy and that we're providing some very good services for all of you, right? Do I know how to program? Yes, I know how to program. I've been coding for the better part of 20 years. It's been a very long time that I've been coding. Name a programming language, I've probably done it. I've done everything from C, C++, JavaScript, Python, which is what we use in this class. You name it, I've probably coded it before. And then how much crypto experience do you have? I've been investing in crypto for quite some time, probably since like 2016. I actually helped start a company back in the day. You guys may have heard of it, called Voyager. But yeah, so definitely have a lot of experience there. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in a bit, but let me first read off some of your comments here. So Eagle says, your personal trainer, very cool. Cryptocurrency influencer and educator, awesome, very cool. I know we spoke earlier today too, it's awesome. And then crypto since 2017, perfect, thanks for sharing that. And then Christopher says, I'm a realtor, I don't know how to program. I have an investment rooted in trading crypto on a passive level. Okay, awesome, welcome Chris. So just to let you know, our classes, they're made to be very beginner friendly. So we will be covering a lot of stuff inside of, we'll be writing a lot of software code. This is a Python-based class, so we will be coding within this class, but you do not have to have programming experience before that. We will teach you the basics of coding as well while we go through this. And Eagle says, way to go, Chris. Voyager, yeah, used to do videos on them. Oh, very cool, awesome. Yeah, I was actually one of the early stage employees at Voyager. I think I was employee number 4. I basically helped hire all of the software team. When I was there, we were just in a WeWork. The app didn't exist or anything. I actually made the first version of the Voyager app. Kind of a fun story there. But my job was really to help build out everything, hire the whole tech team and all that. So yeah, saw Voyager turn into something that wasn't worth anything, all the way up to $2 billion which is around the same time that I sold a lot of my stock options and paid off quite well. Not gonna lie, that was a very nice payoff. You know, when you have stock options and they, you know, go 20x over the course of 6 months, you know, I hope you're someone that would sell. I know I was. So it definitely paid me off quite well. But then obviously Voyager got into some trouble and came right back down again. But you know, I don't know, it worked out well for me. Didn't work out so well for people that were investors still. But you know, I guess the rest is history. Cool. So Travis, so it says no current occupation, light coding, not blockchain. Cool. And 6+ years here and there trading crypto. Very cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Travis. So it's good to actually know a little bit of coding as well. That could be helpful in going through some of that stuff. Yolanda says, freelance data scientist. Yes, I know how to program. Also knowledgeable with machine learning and artificial intelligence. Very cool. Awesome. I feel like you could do some very cool stuff with algorithms, knowing that kind of knowledge. And just started learning and investing in cryptocurrency. Very cool. Awesome. Welcome, Yolanda. This it sounds like you're exactly in the right spot. Elo says, wow, I was there since day one. Sheesh. Awesome job, brother. That's why I'm here to learn from you. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Eagle. Appreciate it. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So I got to know you guys a little bit. Sounds like we have a mixture here of some people that are very good programmers, some people that have never coded before. Again, we make our classes very beginner friendly. So even if you don't know how to code, we will teach you how to do that. Obviously, there's going to be a learning curve involved with that, but you are not required to know how to code beforehand, right? And then for those of you that do know how to code and you think maybe that's a little bit too slow, given that, I can guarantee you that you'll get a lot out of the class, even if you are a very good programmer. In fact, actually, most people that I know that were really good programmers went through our classes. They built some really, really, really cool stuff. I could give you some examples. You know, if you watch some of our testimonials, you know, Citadel is one good example. Like some people have really made some pretty impressive algorithms having that background in coding. So, you know, whether you have a lot of coding experience or not, I think this would be a good fit for you either way, right? So we try to go directly to what we need to do here, right? We try to cut the nonsense and just go directly at what we need to do. We don't need to know everything possible in Python. We just need to know the stuff that is going to get the job done for us, right? Okay, so here's a little write-up on myself. I feel like maybe I can reword this a little bit, but to tell you in my own words. So my name is Robert. I've been coding, like I said, for over 20 years. I was one of those kids. I was like 12 years old when I learned how to code. Kind of haven't looked back since. To me, it feels like a second language. You know, my whole career, you know, I started my first software company when I was like 15 years old, making pretty good money back then. Obviously got very interested in the whole business side of things as well. You know, starting my own company at a young age. Went to business school, did my master's in finance, right? So I do have a lot of the formal education in finance. After that, started another startup. We ended up selling that for an undisclosed amount. I'm legally not allowed to talk about how much we sold it for, but it made me very happy. I took some time off, basically traveled the world a little bit, and found myself really attracted to New York City. So moved there, basically to work in the finance space, right? So I went there. I worked at one company off Wall Street, helped put together a team for a mortgage company. The software that we built, my team and I, we created basically, I think to date has done maybe $100 billion worth of mortgages. So pretty cool. Definitely feel proud of that. After that, went to go work at Voyager. Again, when they were first starting out, Voyager was nothing when I went there. The app didn't exist. They didn't have any backend, nothing. It was basically just a bunch of people in a room with an idea. We basically planned out everything from the very start, everything, every screen, every, you know, click, everything of how Voyager worked, we planned out. Grew that company, ended up being probably one of the biggest crypto brokers in America at one point in time, until they got really caught up in this Three Arrows Capital stuff, which is unfortunate because the technology is really good and the company itself is really good, other than this very stupid decision to lend money to Three Arrows. You know, whatever it was after I left, I didn't really even know they did that. If I was there, I would have definitely given shit to the CEO, would have made my opinion known, but you know, such is life. Anyways, after Voyager, spent my time there, helped build it from the ground up. Went to basically start my own company, which is here at Lumiwealth. And what Lumiwealth is all about, and I guess that's a good segue into here, you know, what is Lumiwealth and what are we all about? Well, we created this company about 3 years ago now with the intention to help people get better investment returns, right? That's what we're all about. Very simply, we want to make sure that you get better investment returns, you make more money, period. Full stop, right? The way that we believe that we can accomplish that is we believe that we could use software to do this. So, you know, story goes, I've worked on Wall Street for some period of time. I have more billionaire friends than I'd like to admit. But you know, it always annoyed me how these people, you know, I didn't grow up a billionaire, right? But I got to know them a lot through my job. It always really annoyed me how these billionaires had access to investments that normal people don't, right? They have these intelligent algorithms. They have data that other people don't have. They have investment opportunities that other people might not even be allowed to invest in. So they have this huge one up on most people, right? Making, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50% a year when the rest of, you know, the world is kind of stuck making the 10% of the stock market if they're lucky, right? If you know enough to even do that. And I always thought that was kind of BS, right? And I always want to bring that sort of thing to the everyday person, right? So that's what Lumiwealth is all about. It's about taking those types of investment returns that these very rich people and very successful people are getting and basically bringing that to the masses, right? And I believe the only way that we really can do that is by using software, right? There's a lot of different ways that we can do it. You know, everything from, we have classes on blockchain, how to make our own blockchain assets. I think that's very important in this sort of thing, creating new types of asset classes that people can invest in. And I also believe that just having good intelligence and the way that you're investing your money is very important too, right? So in other words, trading algorithms and smarts around investing, right? I think most people, when they look at algorithms, they think it's just buying and selling stocks 50 times a day. Hopefully by the end of this class today, I'll show you that there's a lot better and different ways to make money than that. You know, simply saying RSI is crossing this thing, or the moving average is approaching this, and some alligator pattern or whatever. You know, maybe you can make some money doing that. And I've seen people make money doing that. But I think there's much better ways to make money than using technical analysis. And I hope I can prove that to you by the end of this class. All right. Although that can also be a viable way to make money. I just want to show you that there is a lot more effective things that you could do. Right. So that's what Lumiwealth is all about. We want to use software to improve people's investment returns. And again, right now we're doing that through courses, right? We teach people this, right? We have classes on it. We're also going to be releasing some products very soon that are SaaS-based, where you can go to our website or our app and allow you to actually do this directly, right? So we are working on that sort of stuff too. We also have a YouTube channel that I highly recommend you guys check out. So I'm going to post that into the chat so you guys can click on that link. You could also just go into YouTube and just, you know, search for Lumiwealth, right? And you can find it in there. But I'll show you what our channel looks like. We have a lot of free stuff in here. We have basically all of these free classes that we've done in the past, right? You can walk through here, all of our different classes that we've taught, everything, options, building a trading robot. Like, there's a bunch of things in here that you can watch. We also have some strategy demos, some different strategies they can watch and see how each one of them performed. So you can get an idea of kind of some of the strategies that we have. We have interviews with different people. You know, some examples of interviews are like, there's one here with John Ewing. He's a hedge fund manager in Toronto. They manage about $600 million. I spoke to him around the time of the pandemic. There's a really good interview with him and how he does that. You know, real estate investors, this guy, Cliff Frazier, he manages like $200 million in real estate. And then everything from that to, you know, crypto companies. This is actually a good friend of mine, Uzair, who's running a very interesting crypto company. We had a really good talk there. So some really good interviews. If you want testimonials, you can watch testimonials by some of our past students. You know, don't take my word for it. You could listen to our students and see what they thought about the classes, right? You could listen to them and see how you could relate to some of them, right? And then we also have a bunch of other stuff in here. So we're always adding in tons of free new content. So make sure that when you go to this website, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit this ring button so that you get those updates, because we do put out a lot of videos quite often. We've actually been doing a lot of these like little shorts as well, which I don't think you can see in here, but we've been putting out like a lot of little short videos for you as well. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell button. Okay, so there's that. Then there's also, okay, so there's our YouTube channel. Then there's also our Discord channel. I'd highly recommend that you guys join this as well. All right, so there's that link I put up into the chat. So our Discord channel is basically like this. If you guys have never heard of Discord, it's a lot like Slack. It's a chat type thing, right? So basically you can see, you know, all the other people who have been taking our classes, communicate with them. You can, you know, get to know other people that are interested in the same topic. And it's really cool. It's this back and forth communication type tool. So if you want to get to know some of our past students, if you want to ask any questions around algo trading, and when you join our classes full time, then you also get access to a lot of these voice channels and things like that that are normally restricted. Here, this is a closed off voice channel. There's a discussion hour going on right now, and you could join into that too, for example. Right, so lots of good stuff there in our Discord. Right. Okay, so YouTube, this is our Discord. And then also, so I want to bring up, make sure you guys ask questions throughout the presentation. It's a lot more interesting when this is an interactive presentation, so don't feel like you have to wait until the very end to ask your questions. If you have a question, type it out. I'll answer it. More than happy to have that interaction. I think it's a lot more fun when we can talk back and forth and discuss things. I think that's a much more interesting presentation that way. All right, so make sure that you ask questions throughout. Travis, so you're asking for the Discord link. It's literally right above your message. So you can click on it there. I'll type in the Discord link again as well. But there's that Discord link literally right in that chat, right above where you wrote that. And then there's a YouTube as well, right above that as well. All right. So I put it in one more time. Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Great. Glad you got it, Travis. Okay, and then maybe it's because you joined a little later, so I'll put that in. I'll also put in the YouTube. Okay, cool. So that's a nice little introduction there. All right, so let's talk about kind of the more details here. Right, so why do we want to use trading algorithms to trade crypto? Right, why do we want to use algorithms to trade crypto? Okay, so I have 4 reasons here, but there's actually a lot more reasons than this, and I'll show you. You know, maybe the best reason is just the fact that it makes you more money. But there are really more nuanced reasons behind this, right? So first of all, especially for crypto is a 24/7 market, right? I don't know about you, but I like getting sleep. I kind of have to sleep or else I get very groggy. You know, you're not going to be able to realistically trade the crypto market manually, right? You're going to have to go to sleep at some point. And you're going to miss out on things that happen overnight, right? Like, for example, I could tell you when when Russia basically did this invasion into Ukraine, the crypto markets reacted quite violently around that time, right? I don't know if you guys were awake at that time and you're watching your Coinbase or whatever. The market swung probably like 20% within the course of like 3 or 4 hours, right? It was nuts, huge up and down moves, right? Now, if you were asleep, which you probably were, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that in Eastern time, then you would have missed that, right? You probably woken up and saw a bunch of your money gone and you're like, what the heck just happened, right? Whereas if you were paying attention to this, if you're awake, or if you had an algorithm trading this, you could have taken advantage of this, right? You could have, first of all, seen the news, gotten out of it, waited a bit until things calmed down, and then you could have bought much cheaper and actually made quite a bit of money doing this sort of thing, right? And this is not just in events like that, right? It's not just in events when, you know, there's an invasion or something, right? The truth is that crypto markets behave very differently in the middle of the night than they do during the daytime in the United States, right? 4 o'clock in the morning, that's when Asia's trading and there's a lot of stuff going on there, rather than during the daytime in the US, you're going to have very different reactions. So being able to trade 24 hours is important. You could take advantage of all this volatility. You can make a lot of money doing this sort of thing, right? So algorithms can trade 24 hours, human beings cannot. So that is a huge advantage, right? Second of all, there's thousands of assets out there and constantly more and more being added. It's really hard to keep up with it, to be honest with you. You know, there's probably like 10 crypto coins made every day, if not more. A lot of them are going to be nonsense, but some of them are going to be good ideas, right? Some of them might be the next thing that makes you 1,000% in a day, right? Now, if you're paying attention to this manually, it's going to be a little bit difficult to keep up, right? You're going to have alerts on this stuff. You're going to have to do your research, yada, 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 right? However, if you have an algorithm, you can actually keep track of this pretty well, right? You can have a news feed come in whenever there's a new coin that gets listed. You can automatically go off to websites, something like Tokenstepher, to make sure that this thing's legitimate and there isn't some nonsense going on here, right? And you can basically take advantage of all these things, right? Or, mind you, even if it's not a new coin, even if it's a coin that's been around for a while, right? Maybe there's this one coin that's just taken off right now, right? You know, there's so many different situations where there's, you know, Cult, for example. I think of this one coin, Cult DAO, right? For months, nothing was happening, right? Then they released this thing, the Cult Manifesto, and all of a sudden, this thing takes off. It goes up 1,000% or something over the course of like 2 days, right? If you were not paying attention to that, right? Like probably most people were not. Like, how do you pay attention to this? There's so many thousands of these things out there. You probably missed that, right? However, if you have an algorithm that's paying attention to this stuff, you can take advantage of it. You can make quite a bit of money off this sort of thing, right? So there's thousands of assets. Using an algorithm really helps pay attention to this and actually take advantage of this, right? There's also hundreds of exchanges, right? So I don't know if you guys know this, but there's different prices between different exchanges. Today, things like Bitcoin are pretty well priced, but smaller assets, there's going to be big differences between them sometimes. So for example, you know, your one coin might be trading on Binance for, you know, $20 a share, $20 a coin, versus another exchange, it might be trading for $21 a share, right? You could actually take advantage of those price discrepancies, right? You could buy it at Binance for $20, and you could go to another exchange, sell it for 21, and you just go in circles like that and make money constantly, right? You're making $1, $1, $1, $1, and you know that can accrue quite quickly, right? That's basically something called arbitrage, right? So that's one way you could do that. There's also other techniques, statistical arbitrage and all sort of things where you can really take advantage of pricing between different exchanges, and you can make some really good money doing this sort of stuff, right? This is pretty much impossible to do as a human being. You just can't possibly do it fast enough, right? We're talking about, you know, penny differences, and they're happening in split seconds, right? But if you have an algorithm, you can take advantage of this. You can make money doing this sort of thing, right? So hundreds of exchanges is a huge advantage for when you're using algorithms, right? And then lastly, also trends change really fast, right? So it's not like the stock market, right? The crypto markets are very different from the stock market. Stock market, if there's a 5% drop, it's like the end of the world, right? In the crypto markets, if it's 5% drop, that's just another Tuesday. You know what I mean? The things move a lot faster in crypto than they do in stocks or other assets, which means that you can actually take advantage of this, right? It means when you're using an algorithm, right? Maybe you go off and you go to dinner or something like that, or you know, you take a shower or you go to work or whatever, right? You might be missing out on some very big moves, right? Maybe some news came out and crypto is all of a sudden shooting up like crazy or falling very quickly. Either way, you want to be able to take advantage of those things. If you're paying attention to this constantly, you can take advantage of it pretty easily. You're like, oh, okay, well, this news came out. Probably we're heading down. Okay, makes sense, right? But you can't be staring at your screen constantly. You have to live your life, right? And especially when things move this quickly, there's a huge advantage to being able to be quick about this, right? New news comes out, crypto is starting to fall. We sell, we wait until it falls down, and then we buy back and we make money. Or we short it, or we do something else like that to make money off it, right? So these trends changing fast is a really good thing for algorithms. And you can make quite a bit of money doing it, paying attention to these trends and take advantage of them, right? Okay, so that's 4 things. There are a lot more things as well that are really good with trading algorithms. Things like makes it less emotional, right? So this way you're not, for a lot of people that trade, they like get sucked into things, and people lose money very easily because they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. If you have an algorithm, it's not emotional, so it actually trade for you in a much more intelligent kind of way. It's much faster. You're able to do things in a much more efficient way. You can back test your strategies. There's a lot of really good things they can do with algorithms to make you a lot more money with a lot less work and a lot less time, right? Cheaper, better, faster, if we want to put it that way, right? Okay, but that's talking about like theoretically, right? But let's see like the actual results of this, right? Because there's lots of companies out there that are making really, really good money doing this sort of thing, right? So I'm going to talk about a few hedge funds here that have been doing algorithmic trading for quite some time, right? So these guys, they build trading algorithms for stocks, but then also for crypto and for a lot of other things, right? So let's talk about how well some of these companies have done, right? So one really successful company in this space is called Renaissance Technologies. These guys have been around since like the 80s, right? They basically started in the 80s. Back then computers weren't really good. So they basically had to figure out how to make algorithms from scratch. It was really quite difficult for them to do this sort of thing, right? But eventually they figured it out. And, for us, it's going to be a lot easier than for them. But it took them something like a year or 2 to figure out with some very smart people. But eventually, once they cracked the code, they were able to start making some really, really extravagant returns. There's a book here, and I'll share the book, put the link into the chat. All right. There's a really good book on these guys called The Man Who Solved the Market. It's about Jim Simmons, the guy that actually invented or was the founder of of Renaissance. And this guy basically goes from being a math professor to becoming one of the richest people on earth, right? He's currently worth something like $10 billion, maybe more than that, actually, maybe 20 billion. One of the richest people on earth, anyways, a billionaire several times over. And it talks about his journey, right? Like from going from making this company in the 80s, using really cheap computers to try to do this stuff, spending the first year or 2 trying to get this thing to work. Once they got to work, though, it was just crazy how much money was coming in. These guys may as well have had a printing machine in their house. To be honest with you, actually having your own printing machine in your house probably would have made money slower than what they did. It is absolutely unbelievable how much money these guys made. They were buying like mansions, like $20-30 million mansions, and like forgetting that they even existed. The government, there's this really interesting story. The government came after one of the employees here that worked at this company and said, hey, you can't have a house in this area. It's not legal, whatever, blah, blah. And he just goes back to them. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't even have a house there. Ends up he does. He bought it. He forgot about it. It was like a $20 million house, right? That's the kind of money these guys are making. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Jim Simmons got very, very rich, but so did a lot of other people at this company. They all are millionaires many times over, if not billionaires many times over, right? So let's talk about how they made this money, right? So they have made a 39% average annual return over 30 years, okay? Probably a little bit longer than that now. I think it's been longer than 30 years. 39%, that you might look at that, and if you made like 1,000% in crypto one year, you might look at that and say, oh yeah, well, 39%, what is that? 39% is a lot. 39% can really, really make you a lot of money. And keep in mind, this is average, right? So last year when the market was going through the roof, these guys made like 100 and something or 200%, right? They had a very good year, right? And mind you, they're managing $110 billion worth of assets, right? So it's a lot harder to make huge returns with that much invested, right? Controlling $1 million, making 1,000% is a heck of a lot easier than doing that with 110 billion, right? But these guys made 39% on average over a course of 30 years. and pretty much almost never lost money. There's only like one quarter in all of history that they lost money, right? Keep in mind that this 30-year span goes over the tech bubble, right? A lot of people lost a lot of money during that time. It covers 2008 when a lot of people lost their shirts, same thing. It covers the most recent stuff, the 2020, that big drop, and even the bear market right now. These guys are just constantly making money. They don't lose money. They just make money all the time, right? So 39%, for those of you that don't have a background in finance, right? 39% when you take into account compounding is actually really, really a lot of money, right? So as an example here, if you had $1,000, right? You took $1,000, you put into the stock market makes about 10% a year on average, right? If you put $1,000 into the stock market, that $1,000 will turn into about $17,000 after 30 years. Pretty good, right? This is why people tell you invest in the stock market. It's a good idea, right? You'll definitely make some money doing that. But if you took that same $1,000 and instead of making 10% a year, you made 39% a year, like what Renaissance was doing, you're not going to end up with 17,000. You're not going to end up with 4 times more than that either, right? 39%, almost 40% versus 10%. It's not 4 times more, okay? It is significantly more than that because you're making 4 times more money every single year, and it compounds over time, right? Albert Einstein said the most powerful force in the world is compound interest. And here's a really good example of that, right? That $1,000 after 30 years would not have been 17,000. It would have been $19.5 million. It's insane, right? Imagine you started off with just $1,000 right now, and by the time you retired, you'd have almost $20 million from that 1,000, right? And that's not to mention if you gathered more money and if you got investors, because if you're making this kind of returns, investors will be flocking towards you like crazy, right? Everyone's going to want to give you their money if you're making this kind of stuff. But this is just this kind of insane returns that you'd be making. Instead of 17,000, you're up with 19 million, over 1,000 times more money, right? And these guys, again, they're not only investing their own cash, they're investing other people's money. So they really got like very, 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 very rich, right? Because if you're making returns like this on, just the cash that you had versus if you were able to raise $1 billion or $10 billion in a hedge fund, you get a heck of a lot more money in the second one, right? So that's one company, Renaissance, right? They've been very successful. They've done very well over the years, right? But there's other ones like them as well, right? Two Sigma is another one. These guys manage something like $60 billion in assets, probably more than that now. I got these numbers like maybe 2 years ago or something, so probably quite a bit more money than that. Citadel is another one, very, very wealthy company. These guys made a ton of money. This is just a hedge fund, $32 billion. They are also doing a lot of other things. They're actually the back end behind Robinhood. If you guys know that app, the trading stock app, Citadel is actually what powers their trades, right? These guys are making crazy, crazy money. Their CEO and founder is one of the richest people on earth, right? Bridgewater, same thing. This is run by Ray Dalio. Really, really good guy. If you haven't read his books, I'd highly recommend it. He has some very good books that he just came out with. I think they're great reads. Last time I checked, he's managing about $140 billion. It's probably a lot more than that now, especially with his newfound fame. But these guys use same thing. They're using, in this case, actually these two Sigma and Citadel, they're using specifically just algorithms trading for them. There's no human beings involved. It's just computers buying and selling stuff. Whereas Bridgewater, these guys actually have human beings making the final decision. They use a lot of data science to come up with, should we be doing this or where should we be investing? But there's people that pull the trigger at the end of the day, right? And then lastly, and this is not by any means the full list, because there's a lot of hedge funds doing this sort of thing and making lots of money doing it. Quant hedge funds have been very, very successful over the years. But the last in my list here is D.E. Shaw. These guys, there's a very famous person that used to work here. And let me know if you guys know who that is. I'll wait for you guys to type that out. There's a very famous person who used to work here. And it kind of goes to show that there's the people that worked in this industry and work in this industry are extremely successful. But there's a very famous person that used to work at D.E. Shaw. It's a company that, Vinci knows. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Jeff Bezos, right? Perfect. That's exactly what it is. So Jeff Bezos used to work at D.E. Shaw back in the day. And the story goes, that was his first job right out of school. He went to go work on Wall Street, as you guys may have known about his biography. Specifically, went to go work at D.E. Shaw. He worked there basically writing software code and helping them with and analyzing data. And when he was going through their data, being able to analyze data is a very valuable skill, right? We teach how to do that in our classes. He found that the internet was growing at this crazy rate. It was growing at 3,000% a year or something ridiculous like that, right? And he's like, wow, that is one heck of a growth rate. I think I could probably start a company off of that, right? So he went off, brainstormed, and he came up with the idea for Amazon, right? Selling books online. Little did he know it would turn to much more than that. But basically, told his boss at the time, D.E. Shaw, the head of it, that he's going to go and start his own company. They were paying him very well at the time. He's like, what, are you crazy? Why do you want to leave the salary? He said, yeah, I want to try to take a stab at my own company. Went off and started Amazon, and the rest is history. Became the richest man in the world. All right. So when you're working in this industry and when you're learning about this kind of stuff, you are really in the audience of a lot of very, very successful and very rich people. Some of the richest people on the earth, and actually one of the richest people on earth, or the richest person on earth at a point in time, was actually working at these companies as well. So you're in very, very good company when you're working on this sort of thing. Right. Cool. So that's a little bit about companies that have done this. We are obviously a company very dedicated to this. We really very much like doing this algorithmic trading stuff. There's a lot of value in it, we believe. And we put our money where our mouth is. We've actually developed some technology. So when you take our courses, not only do you get access to great learning materials, but you're also going to get access to a lot of code and a lot of technology right out of the box, right? So one such example is our Lumibot Library, right? It's a library that we've created over the past 3 years. Really has become quite popular in the space of algorithmic trading. It's one of the best libraries, I'd say, in the space. It's a library that allows you to run trades, back tests. We could do stuff for stocks, futures, options, crypto. Allows you to trade 24/7. We've got a bunch of exchanges in here, and we're adding in more and more exchanges as we speak. Right? We could trade in intervals as low as 1 second, even though we could even speed that up even more than that if we wanted to. We could run multiple portfolios at a time. We can get historical data. And, we really pride ourselves on trying to make this very easy for you to use. We really want even people that don't know how to code to be able to build their own bots very quickly and easily using our technology. Right? We've spent a lot of time doing that. Right. And if you want, you could actually even Google Lumibot. For those of you that do know how to code, right? If you search for Lumibot, you could find us on GitHub, and then you can find our documentation as well if you're interested and seeing a little bit more about our technology and what we've done. Right. Here we've got like this whole documentation on how all this stuff works for those of you that do know how to code and are interested in this. Right. And there's like some pretty good getting started guides and all that. Right. Okay, cool. So that's our library. That's our technology, right? So let me show you some of the stuff in action, right? So we've talked about this. We talked about the theory. Some companies are doing this, and I hope you're starting to see that there's a lot of money to be made in this. It's not just me saying this. There's been a lot of companies that have made a lot of money in this. But let me show you a couple of examples of a few algorithms that we have. And by the way, when you join our full course, you actually get all the code for this, right? So you'll be able to use any of these algorithms right out of the box or modify them or whatever you want to do with them, right? So I'm going to show you 4 today. I'm going to show you our custom ETF, mean reversion, momentum, and then social media trading, right? I'm trying to show you kind of a broad spectrum of different algorithms and kind of the capabilities of what we can do, right? So some of these, some of these are ones I actually do recommend investing in, right? And some of them, like for example, momentum, I'm just going to be showing you how our technology works, so you kind of get an idea of what's possible, right? So let's start off with our custom ETF. Okay. So this is a pretty simple strategy, deceptively simple, but very successful strategy. You can see here there's a graph of how this performed, and I'll actually even load up custom ETF. This is our code in here, right? You can go through the code. You can modify these things if you wanted to, right? But I'm going to go down here and I'm going to run this as a back test, right? So you can kind of see what happens here. This is the code. It's, you know, how we've actually programmed this algorithm and how it's going to work, right? We'll teach you exactly how this works and all the details behind this and how you can make your own like this or modify this, right? We'll go through all that in our full class. But here, I'm basically running this algorithm. What it does is it invests in 3 different coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, right? Litecoin isn't as popular as it used to be. This used to be one of the bigger coins. It's not really the case anymore. Probably got taken over by like Solana and something like that, right? Those coins have gotten a lot bigger. So here we go. Here's our results, right, from this back test. So by the way, before we continue, so what I did here is I ran what's called a back test. Okay, so I took this strategy where we're investing in these 3 coins. We're putting 32% of our money into each one of these things. So about a third of our money into Bitcoin, a third of our money into Ethereum, a third of our money into Litecoin. And then what we do is we rebalance on a regular basis. And this is really important, right? What that means is that we're basically, we own 30. So if we took $100,000, right, we own 33,000 in each one of them at the very beginning, right? And then let's say Ethereum goes on a tear. It shoots up like crazy. Some good news came out, you know, the merge or whatever, right? Some very good news came out and Ethereum takes off, right? What this algorithm is going to do is it's going to sell Ethereum, right? Because it needs to bring it back into line of 30%. So we're naturally selling high, right? And then it's going to buy the other 2, and especially the ones that's not doing well, right? So if Litecoin isn't doing very well or if Bitcoin isn't doing very well, then it's going to buy one of those, and we're naturally buying low, right? So we're buying low, selling high automatically using this strategy, right? And what I've done here is I've ran this in a back test, which means I've used past data, and I specifically did this from 2021. I did this over basically 1 year, right? Over the course of all of 2021. We could change those dates if you want. I just need to get the data. But the results pretty much the same for, you know, every year that I've done. Slightly different per year, but the same direction, the same sort of idea happens pretty much for every year if you're interested. This is what happened, right? This is the trades that we placed, right? You could zoom in here and you can see this. We bought Ethereum, we bought Litecoin, yada, yada, right? We can see exactly what happened on each one of these dates. And then we also have our tear sheet here that shows us the breakdown of how we performed. So the blue line is our strategy. This is how we made money, right? And then the yellow line is Bitcoin, right? So you can see, first of all, that we did a heck of a lot better than Bitcoin, right? We did a lot better than Bitcoin. And here's the actual stats behind it, right? Our strategy is here, right? And then the benchmark, in other words, Bitcoin is here. So our return over this time period was 75% versus Bitcoin only 25%. We did 3 times the return of Bitcoin, right? This is an annualized basis, right? Same result. Our Sharpe ratio is quite a bit better. This is a measure of risk to return, right? So we're not just doing something crazy here, right? We're actually being very conservative and very safe, right? We're not, borrowing, 100x leverage, and if things work out, we're super rich. If they don't, then we lost everything. I don't believe in doing that kind of stuff. I'd much rather have algorithms that make consistent returns that make you good money regardless of the market conditions, year in and year out, right? And you can see that here that we're making very good money. We're tripling the return, and we're doing it on a risk-adjusted basis very well. And then speaking of risk, you can see max drawdown here. What a max drawdown means is from the very big top to the very bottom. So for example, here, this looks like this max drawdown. From this peak up here down to the very bottom here, this would have been about 48% loss, right? So that would have been your biggest loss during this whole thing. 48% versus Bitcoin, which would have been even worse. You would have lost 53% from the top here down to the bottom. So we're taking less risk in terms of our max drawdown. We're also taking about the same risk in terms of volatility. Volatility basically means how much it goes up and down on a daily basis, right? actually, sorry, on a annual basis in this case, right, is swung 70% up and down. This is about 65% up and down. So in other words, we're taking about the same risk as Bitcoin, right, in terms of what's the chance of us losing money, or what's the chance of, you know, our money going up and down like crazy, right? We're taking about the same risk as Bitcoin, but we're getting triple the amount of returns. Pretty cool, no? I think that is fantastic. So if you want, you could actually scroll down here, and we'll teach you exactly how to get these sorts of graphs. If you want to try out your own strategy, you want to try out different coins, or you want to modify this to do whatever else, you can actually scroll through here, and you can get a lot of detailed information about how the strategy performed. Did you make money? Did you not make money? What years did you make money? What months? What was your risk profile? All that kind of stuff you can go through here and get really detailed analysis of your trading algorithm and how it would have performed for you over this time period, right? So very useful information, really helps you figure out, is this a good strategy for me to be investing, right? Like if it did well in 2021, if it did well in 2020, if it did well in 2019, well, then it's probably going to do well in 2022, right? So this gives us a really good indication as to, is this a good strategy or not? Right. And clearly here we're seeing that, yes, it is a very good strategy, both in terms of returns and in terms of risk. Right. So that's our custom ETF strategy. Right. That one's pretty straightforward. Right. But very effective, makes quite a bit of money, even though it is something very simple. Right. Then there's another strategy here that I want to show you. So here's a mean reversion strategy. Okay. This is probably something that you guys are more familiar with if you're doing a lot of trading, right? When people come to me, and a lot of people come to us to have us build algorithms for them. You know, we build algorithms, we teach people how to build algorithms, where we have our own library of algorithms, where we've been doing this stuff for a long time. You know, most people that come to me, they want strategies like this, right? They want strategies where you're in and you're out and you're day trading and you're making money throughout, right? Sometimes very effective, sometimes not. In this case, we have a really good one called mean reversion, right? Or reversion to the mean, right? I'm actually going to flip these words around. I don't know why I wrote it that way. Mean reversion strategy, right? And basically what it means is that every time that crypto drops, we're buying. Whenever it goes up, we're selling, right? And more specifically, we do that using RSI and Bollinger Bands, okay? So RSI, for those of you that don't know, looks something like this. It is an indicator. It's a technical indicator that is basically paying attention to the prices, and it's looking at, it's giving you back a number, right? So this is the formula for it, right? Right. It's 100 divided by 1 over, or 100 divided by 1 plus average gain over average loss, right? This looks complicated, but when we use it, we just plug it in. It's like one line of code. It's really easy because there's libraries that do this for us, so we don't have to do this math ourselves, right? We could just plug it in, okay? And what it looks like is, it looks like this kind of line here, right? This is RSI at the bottom here, okay? And let me enlarge this a bit, right? So here we say, basically, the traditional knowledge, right, is that if RSI is over 70, then we consider that to be overbought, right? That's probably a good time to sell, right? So here was around this time for this symbol, we were saying overbought around this time, and you know, it ended up being correct, and that's when it fell, right? So if you were overbought, you would have sold around here, you would have sold right around the peak, and then you would have avoided this big crash, right? And then conversely, if it's under 30, we say that it's oversold and probably a good buying opportunity, right? So here, when it's under 30, was around here. You know, you could see that if you bought it, you probably would have made some money already. This graph doesn't continue on, but you probably would have made some good money buying here when it was oversold, right? Okay, so that's one indicator that we look at, is the RSI. But then we confirm it also with Bollinger Bands, right? So here, Bollinger Bands, okay, in case you guys don't know what they are, this is what they look like. Here's an example of a Bollinger Band. Let me see if I can go right into this website. There you go. Okay. So here's a Bollinger Band around some asset. I'm not sure what this is. yeah, whatever asked as it is. Basically, see here, this black candlesticks, that's where the prices were, right? They're moving around. In the middle here, we have a moving average, right? It's a 20 period simple moving average that we put through the middle. And then we have these bands around here, the upper band and the lower band. And these are determined using statistics, using standard deviation specifically. We say that the typical setup is 2 standard deviations away from the mean, right? So we kind of build like this, almost like a bubble that you want things to stay within, right? And what we're doing is basically whenever things jump above the upper band, right, leaves the bubble to the upside, right, we say that this thing's getting a little ahead of itself, right, and it's probably a good time to sell, right? So here, when it moved above this upper Bollinger Band, this would have been a great time to sell, right? And if you sold here, you would have saved yourself a lot of pain, right? It would have come down here, and this would have been maybe a better buying opportunity would have been down here when we dropped through the bottom of the Bollinger Band, right? So you buy when it drops through the bottom, you sell when it goes through the top, right? So here we would have sold here, great. It would have saved us a lot of headaches. And then down here we would have bought, right? And then up here we would have sold, right? And then we would have bought again down here, and then we would have sold up here, right? And then we would have there weren't any other buying opportunities, right? So we would have made some pretty good money just buying and selling using these Bollinger Bands, right? So what we're doing is we're combining these two, right? We're combining that RSI, right, where we're checking, are we overbought or oversold here? And then we're also checking, are we within these Bollinger Bands or not, right? We're confirming the two, right? And only when both of those things happen, right, do we place a buy or a sell order, right? So here, for example, we're buying when RSI is less than 25 and we're below the lower Bollinger Band, right? And we're selling whenever RSI is above 75 and the closing price is above the upper Bollinger Band, right? So we have these confirmations and we're buying and selling based off of those indicators, okay? And the result is quite incredible. You see here, this is our strategy in the blue versus the benchmark, which is Bitcoin in the yellow. You can see we smoked Bitcoin. We did quite a bit better. We got a 200% average annual return versus Bitcoin was 88% at the time. So we doubled Bitcoin. That's one time period. I'll show you another time period here. I'm not running this back test live, by the way, because it's going to take too long. This takes something like an hour to run because it's trading intraday, so it's a lot of data to go through. But here's another time period. This is from 2021 up until the time period that we were at when I ran this. I ran this back in May, right? We would have made quite a bit of money doing this, right? This sounds like a very good strategy. Look at how, first of all, we beat Bitcoin, right? Great. We're smoking Bitcoin. But second of all, look at how much more stable this line is versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin's doing this crazy up and down stuff where we're just basically going straight up, right? And you can see that in the numbers, right? You can see that our Sharpe ratio is quite a bit better, right? It's 1.14 versus 0.57 for Bitcoin. So exactly pretty much double that of Bitcoin as a Sharpe ratio. Our max drawdown was only 30%, whereas Bitcoin lost us 53% at one point in time. So that's probably this time period from here to here. It dropped 53%. That would have given you a nice headache when you saw your portfolio drop like that if you owned only Bitcoin. But if you had invested in this strategy, your worst loss would have only been 30%, and that's probably from here to here, right? That's the worst thing that happened. So you're making more money, you're taking less risk, right, in terms of max drawdown. You're also taking on less risk in terms of volatility. We only had a 47% volatility versus the Bitcoin, which is 64%. So on pretty much every single measure, we are smoking Bitcoin, doing a heck of a lot better using this strategy than just investing in Bitcoin itself, right? So we can go through here. You can see all the additional stats, all the things around the drawdowns and when all this stuff happened. If you want to get all these detailed information, you can get this. This is the biggest drop for us, right? This is the time period it happened. How many days did it last? All that kind of stuff. You can get really detailed analysis of your trading. So when you have a strategy that you have in mind and you want to use something like this, you can practice first using historical data, back test it, right? see how it would have done if you find something that does very well, right? You could take that, and now you have an idea, is this thing going to make us money going forward or not, right? You're going to have a pretty good indication from that when you are going through this here, right? So this looks to me like a very good trading algorithm to invest in, right? Okay, so that's two of those, right? So we had one that's using like a rebalancing type strategy, right? We have another one that's using technical analysis that's doing quite well, right? We also can use our back testing to actually optimize our algorithms as well, right? So for example, here, I'm going to run this, our momentum strategy, right? Now, this is a very simple strategy that's basically just buying cannot index. Oh, there's something funny going on here. I think I actually know what it is. I just made an update today, so there's a funny thing going on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go pip on see if I can get this working for you guys really quickly. Pandas market calendar. I apologize because I just made an update today for this. Okay. What are we using here again? Okay, you know, I'm not going to be able to run this right now because, again, I just made this update. I should have tested this before we jumped on because I literally just changed this very recently. But let me show you here the results that basically come out, right? Because I have this in my log, so I can show you what happened before, right? So we have here momentum, all of the different ones. That's the advantage of this too, by the way, that you have these logs and you can compare stuff in the past. So here, what I was doing is I was running this momentum strategy and I was testing different time periods, okay? So I was testing, what if we did this for 30 days, right? And this came up on another screen. Okay, so what if we ran a momentum strategy, right? And we did a 30-day momentum, right? This is what it looks like, okay? We have a 30-day momentum here, okay? We beat the benchmark by a little bit. We beat Bitcoin by a few percentage points, not bad. Our Sharpe ratio is a lot better though because we're taking a lot less risk, right? This is basically a momentum strategy. What it does is if Bitcoin is going up, it's investing in it, but as soon as it stops going up, it sells and it leaves, right? So it's kind of protecting you from downside losses, right? So here we see that we beat Bitcoin by a little bit in terms of returns, but we beat it by a lot in terms of risk. Right, our max drawdown was a heck of a lot better, and our volatility was a heck of a lot better. Sharpe ratio was a lot better, right? So we did pretty well on the 30-day, right? But what you could do is you could run this and try different days, right? We can optimize this 30-day the right amount of days, right? Okay, so let's try 50. There's momentum for 50. Okay, 50 doesn't do so hot, right? It still beats it in terms of Sharpe ratio, and it's because it's not taking as much risk, but we're not beating it in terms of actual returns, right? So, okay, so we're not doing that. Maybe 50 isn't the best one. What about if we did here 70, right? What does 70 look like? Okay, this is what 70 looks like, right? Okay, now 70 we beat by a little bit. Our Sharpe ratio is better. This actually looks pretty good. 70 days is actually looking like pretty good. We're beating it. Our risk is quite a bit lower. Our max drawdown is like half, right? Our volatility is lower as well, and our Sharpe ratio is quite good, right? So 70 looks like a pretty promising number to use for our momentum strategy. What if we did 90, right? So you see what I'm doing here is I'm able to try out different time periods, right? I can optimize my strategy. You might have a strategy that says you buy something when RSI hits this, and RSI of over 30 or over 40 or whatever. You can test out all the little details and really hone in your strategy and make it so that you're really optimizing it and making the most money possible, right? So here we see 90 is not as good. 90 doesn't beat Bitcoin, right? It's 109%, even though, again, we're still better in terms of risk, but it's not beating in terms of absolute returns. We do here 110, right? When we do 110, you see that's not really a good idea. 110 is not actually like quite bad, right? Compared to Bitcoin, right? And then we could do 130, right? Okay, there we go. And you see 130, and that's even worse, right? Okay, so we kind of have an idea of how to optimize this, right? 30 was pretty good, right? Not bad, right? We beat it by a little bit. 50, not good. 70 seems to be optimal. That seems to be the best, right? We're actually making pretty good money with this, right? The 90 starts to get worse, and then 110 gets worse, and then 130 gets worse. So clearly 70 is the number that we want to be doing, right? You can see a very clear arch that way, right? And this is a very good thing, and we talk about this in the class, that doing this sort of thing is extremely valuable, right? Being able to optimize your algorithm and seeing that really 70 is that peak, and this is the way that we can do it. And we could even go further. We could optimize and say, what if it's 72? What if it's 75? What if it's 69, right? What is the optimal number for us here, and what's going to make us the most amount of money, right? So we can use our technology, we could use our back testing to figure that out, right? That could be the difference between you making, 30, 40% in a year and 50 versus 50, 60% or something like that, right? Cool. Okay. So that's our momentum strategy, right? I'm going to show you one more strategy before we finish our demos. But there's someone that wrote here. Daniel says, "You're a marine biologist, 6 years of crypto experience." Sorry, I'm super late. No problem. Welcome, Daniel. Great to see you here. We're going to have the recording of this out afterwards, so you can watch the beginning later on if you'd like. The recording we usually send out either a couple hours afterwards or the next day, so you will be able to watch the recording from the beginning. All right, and welcome, Daniel. Okay, cool. So the last one I'm going to show you today, and we have a lot more, by the way. When you take this class, like I said, you get access to all of our code, and you'll get access to all the algorithms I showed you here, plus more. All right. So here, let me show you this one, the social media trading. Okay, so what this strategy does, and let me see if I can run this thing. And this is unfortunate that I made these changes earlier. Okay, let me, this is actually even a different thing. So here, let me go into my alpaca. Oh, actually, I know how to fix this. Oh. It's released a new version to fix this. Cool. So here, I'm going to log into my alpaca account. This is a broker. It's a pretty good broker. We teach some of the class using this because it's really easy to get up and running, and really a simple way to show you how to do some trading, right? Here is a paper account. I'm going to reset this back to $100,000, right? I'm going to get my keys from here so that I can actually connect to it, right? This is kind of how we'll show you exactly how to do this in the class. If this is a little over your head, that's all right. When we go through class, it's actually fairly straightforward. We'll show you how to do this. All right, so there we go. So save that. So I have an account here, $100,000. I'm going to run this strategy, and you'll see that it actually starts trading for me, right? So let's run this. And what this strategy does is something very, very cool and really unique, and something that can make you a lot of money. So what it does, there we go, it's running, so we're good to go. So what it does is basically it goes onto Reddit. Cool. And Daniel says, I code in JavaScript and MATLAB. Very cool. I think you do a very good job in our class if you have some coding experience as well. Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so what this strategy does is it goes to this channel here, cryptocurrency on Reddit. For those of you that don't know what Reddit is, why the heck is this page not found? This is a second here. This is strange that this. I think Reddit's having some sort of issues right now. But basically, it's going to go to cryptocurrency, and hopefully I can show you that, and they're not going to have any kind of issues, right? Although it's seeming that way here. Okay, well, it looks like this channel is having some issues on Reddit right now, so maybe I might not be able to show you this. But basically, I can show you through cryptocurrency channel. I could also show you through Wall Street Bets. You guys may have heard of that one. Just let me show you that. Wall Street. It's funny because it's right here, actually. There's clearly something going on with their website. There it is. Okay, cool. Strange that it wasn't loading up that way. But okay, so here is, we're going to be reading this channel, right? So, or this subreddit is what they call it inside of Reddit, right? And inside here, you'll see there's hot posts is what it's by default. You'll see that there's a bunch of posts in here, right? There's, this is a promotion, but this is, experts argue SEC cannot claim jurisdiction over crypto transactions, right? There's a bunch of different things here. Ethereum price drops 20%. SEC declares control over network. That's really strange. Actually, this is just comedy. This is not actually real. So you could actually even look at these tags here too. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reading these hot posts, and we're going to be reading all the comments on them as well, right? So down here, we have all these comments. Did not leave disappointed, right? In some cases, they're going to actually mention a few different crypto coins, right? So for example, here they're mentioning Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin Cash, mentioning Algorand, right? And we're going to be reading these comments. And we're going to say, well, is this a positive or a negative thing, right? We call this sentiment, right? Is this positive sentiment around Algorand, or is this negative sentiment around Algorand, right? What do we think about this, right? What does the community think about this, right? Do they think that Ethereum is the best thing in the world, or do they think it sucks right now? Do they love Bitcoin or not, right? Like, we can do all those different types of things. So here, when we go going through this, we're looking at all these different coins, okay? We're looking at, and I'll show you what coins we're looking at. I should remove ADA because we don't have that on Alpaca. They just don't trade ADA or Cardano. But what it did is what we're looking at, basically these 5 coins here, and we can add a lot more of them if you wanted to. You could add in 20, 50, 100 coins, right? And basically, we're reading all these comments and saying, what do people think about this, right? Do they think it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Do they like Bitcoin? Do they not like Bitcoin? And here it read through a lot of comments. These are all numbers from different posts about all these different things here, okay? We see that we have here Ethereum, ETH, had an average score of 0.14, so in other words, 14% positive. If this is a negative number, then that means that people are saying negative things about Ethereum. If this is a positive number, then they're saying positive things. All the way up until 1. 1 is like a perfect positive rating. That means that everyone's shouting off the rooftops saying they love Ethereum. It's the best thing in the world. And this is basically what it's based off of. It's looking at each individual article here. These are all these different articles that it read. The first article was negative, is negative 0.22. The next article it read, or comment, I should say, was 0.59. So it's a positive one, actually very positive. Right here, it's 0.0. Here, there's a very negative comment about Ethereum, right? So we're reading all these things, and we have here basically said we think that Ethereum has an average score of 0.14, which is mildly positive sentiment towards Ethereum right now. Okay. We also did this for Bitcoin. Bitcoin gave us a 0.13. It's wrapping around here, right? So that slipped a bit. Where did Bitcoin go again? There's Bitcoin as a 0.13 rating. Okay, so right now people are thinking that Ethereum is actually better than Bitcoin, right? That's kind of what people are saying on Reddit, right? Then we could also look down and we see here Solana, right? Solana has a pretty positive rating, a 0.14 positive score, right? And then we have Down here, ADA had a 0.14 positive score, a little bit higher than that. And then Litecoin had an average score of 0.88. It's actually much better than the other ones, but there's only one score, so we're going to ignore that, right? So we see here that we had Ethereum, a score of this, Bitcoin, a score of this, Solana, a score of this, and ADA, a score of this. They're all kind of similar. Usually, it's actually funny that they're all so close to each other. Usually we see much bigger discrepancies between them, right? Usually it's like everyone loves Ethereum right now, but they don't love Bitcoin, right? Or like we can add in more coins and we can get a better idea around this. But here we have these 4 coins. And what we're going to do is we're going to create weights in our portfolio based off of these sentiment scores, right? So if people are thinking Ethereum is the best thing in the world right now, well, then let's own more Ethereum, right? If people think Bitcoin's the best right now, then let's own more Bitcoin. So here, these are the weights that we're going to have. We're going to have Ethereum have a weight of 25%, right? Bitcoin is going to have a weight of 24%. Solana is going to have a weight of around 24% as well. And ADA is going to have a weight around 25%. And these are going to change over time. We're going to be looking at these on a daily basis, or we could even do this on an hourly basis and say, are people changing their minds? Did some news come out, for example, that makes Ethereum all of a sudden really good? Well, if that came out, then let's buy more Ethereum, right? We can make lots of good money off that, right? So that's the weightings that we want in each one of these. And when I go back to my portfolio that I originally had only $100,000, or that's what I started off with, we see that automatically bought these coins for me, right? So it bought, we're not buying all $100,000. We're only using a certain percentage of it. And we bought here $21,000 worth of Bitcoin, $22,000 or almost $23,000 worth of Ethereum, and $22,000 worth of Solana, right? That's because people are saying Ethereum and Solana are better than Bitcoin. That's what people are saying on Reddit, right? So we're just basically listening to the crowd and what they're saying. These are the people that are constantly talking about this stuff. So they're probably really ahead on the trends and ahead on the news, right? So we can automatically construct a portfolio here based off of that information, right? Okay. This is one way that we could use Reddit data. There's a lot of other interesting stuff that we could do as well, right? So here, this is, so if we're doing trading off of social media, you see here that basically I'm just using sentiment to figure out what weights they're going to have in my portfolio. But I could also do a lot of other really cool things, right? We have bots like this. I can't demo it right now because it doesn't make sense. Like it takes some time for us to kick in, but we can have bots that basically listen to influencers, right? So for example, if you're listening to Elon Musk, you're reading his Twitter channel, right? I showed you on Reddit, but we could just as easily read Twitter or Telegram or Discord or, you know, news sources, Benzinga, whatever, right? We could do this with any kind of text, right? So imagine you're listening to influencers, people like Elon Musk or Donald Trump or Kim Kardashian or name anyone else that has like millions of Twitter followers. These people, when they tweet about things or message on Reddit or whatever else, they move markets, right? For example, when Elon Musk was tweeting about Dogecoin, every time he tweets about it, Dogecoin goes through the roof, right? So wouldn't it make sense to have a bot that's listening to his Twitter account, and every time he tweets Dogecoin or tweets about anything else, you're automatically buying it, right? Or if Kim Kardashian all of a sudden starts investing in Algorand or something like that, right? You'll be the first to know. And when her audience sees this stuff, even if she's wrong, even if it's a bad decision, right? It doesn't matter. She has 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million people following her. And when she says, I like Algorand, guess where the price is going to go? You know what I mean? It's going to go straight through the roof. And if you have a bot that is constantly reading this stuff and checking these influencers, you can be the first one in and the first one out as well. You could buy right as soon as Elon Musk tweets about Dogecoin. You buy it, you hold it for a few hours, and then you sell it, right? And then that could give you a very nice profit. I actually know one of our past students is making a lot of money doing this. Last time I spoke to him, he's making some like 500% a year just doing this kind of stuff, paying attention to influencers and trading off of that. So that's really cool, doing influencer stuff. You could also do like messaging channels. You can listen to like Discord or Telegram, and you know a lot of these channels just like private, and you could like check it out and use that information to your advantage, right? You can pay attention to social trends like Wall Street Bets or Reddit, right? You know, is all of a sudden is one coin taking off, maybe, right? And maybe you're listening to Reddit, and all of a sudden we had Solana just jump through the roof, right? Like we like you saw, we had that sentiment that was like a 0.14, and all of a sudden now it jumped up to a 0.5, right? What happened, right? If there's this big jump, maybe some really good news came out, and that could be a really good buying opportunity, right? So we could do that. We could also follow the news, right? So if some news comes out, on Benzinga, on Bloomberg, on whatever, Coin Telegraph or whatever, right? You're listening to these news things, and there's some really big reveal that just came out. You could be the first one in, starting trading that, making money off of that, because you have a bot that's constantly listening to the news, listening to influencers, listening to trends, right? And you could use all that to your advantage and make a lot of money doing this stuff, right? So a lot more than just doing technical analysis. There's a lot of things you could do to make money, right? So those are the 4 algorithms. We could also talk about some other things you could do. Technical analysis bots, right? We could definitely build a lot of those types of things. I've coached a lot of people through how to build these types of things. I don't care how complex your algorithm is or how complex your strategy is. Chances are we can automate that for you, right? Name a technical indicator, name a strategy, and I bet you we could probably get that together in just a couple hours, right? So there's lots of different things you could do. We have libraries that automatically do this stuff. It's free to run. You can run this stuff off your computer. You don't have to pay other people for this stuff. You can have this made custom for yourself and do whatever you need to do, right? That's technical analysis. Then we could also plug into like custom feeds and channels, right? Like, for example, something like Lunar Crush. This is a great website that gives you social insights, right? And tells you what coins are being talked up right now and which ones are trending and that sort of thing. And you can automatically plug into their API, get information from them, and just trade off of what they're saying to do. But you could also plug into like news channels. You could plug into, things like Tokenstepher. Here's like a really good one. This one's really interesting. This could be a great way to make money, actually, using Tokenstepher. So here, when we go through it, we see Tokenstepher. Basically, what it does is it tells us for new coins that come out, are these things nonsense or are they actually worthwhile, right? So here, for example, some of the newest coins that came out, right? This is someone made Ape Tools token, right? Okay, cool. Ape Tools token. We could go into here, and it kind of tells us the smell test is 80 out of 100. So that's not too bad, right? It's not perfect. It's not a perfect 100 out of 100, but not bad, right? Maybe this is a legitimate coin. Maybe you can make some money off of that. It tells us, some bad things about it is that the buy fee is pretty high. The sell fee is pretty high, which is kind of a sign that they might be trying to scam you. But they do have some pretty good liquidity, right? You could tell that at least 95% of liquidity burned for 15 days, right? Like all these things that is checking for you to see, is this a good investment or not, right? So you can actually scan through this website and say, all these new coins that are out there, which ones pass the smell test, right? So here's latest scams, for example, W Sheeb, right? This is probably one you don't want to be investing in, right? The audit came out as 0 out of 100. Don't put your money into this. They'll probably rob you, right? This is probably a very bad thing for you to invest in. And it tells you exactly why, right? All these different things here, right? Maybe you want to invest in, some of these trending ones, right? You could go into a bunch of these different coins and basically figure out, is it worthwhile for me to put my money into it? And you can automate this and make quite a bit of money trading these types of things, right? So this is Tokenstepher. There's Lunar Crush. There's things that analyze like the blockchain. There's all these different APIs you can plug into and really hone your algorithm and make quite a bit of money doing this sort of thing, right? So lots of really cool things you can build and really good ways to make money using algorithms, especially when you can code in Python and get all the details out of it, all right? So very cool stuff, all right? Cool. Okay, so that's some of our demos. That's some of our strategies and what we've done. Let's talk a little bit about our larger course, right? So that's pretty much what we're going to go through for today in terms of that. But if you'd like to continue this, if you'd like to continue learning, we do have an entire class on this, right? That goes into all the details, exactly how to do this stuff, you know, how are you going to code this? We teach you Python from the very beginning, right? And I put this link inside of the chat as well, if you guys want to follow along with me, right? And here's it's an 8-week class where we take you from the very beginning. Even if you don't know how to code, we'll teach you how to do that stuff. If you do know how to code, even better, then you'll be able to fly through this and build some really amazing stuff if you know how to code. But basically, here's a description of like the course, right? We're going to be teaching you how to build these trading robots, right? We've talked about this already. Why is a good idea to use crypto to trade, right? There's a bunch of reasons. There's only 4 here. There's a lot more that actually matter. Right. Talk about the learning outcomes that you're going to get from the course, right? And then importantly, I want to take you through the curriculum, right? So here is what this 8-week course looks like if you were to take this, right? We have live classes and we have pre-recorded classes, right? Most people opt for live classes for good reason. You really get a lot more out of those live classes than you do the recordings. But here, this is what it looks like. This is an 8-week long class divided up into 3 parts, right? Part 1 is all your fundamentals about Python and data science, right? Part 2 is getting started with crypto bots and getting all set up on your computer and placing your trades. And then we're going to go through a lot of different examples in the last part, right? So first part, 3 weeks. First week is going to be a course introduction. Make sure we are going to get your system set up. We're going to get all this working on your computer, making sure that you have everything installed properly and all that. And then you're also going to get to know everyone else in the class. There's going to be introductions. You get to know other people. A lot of people actually end up working on projects together on this sort of thing. So you really get to know other people in the class, right? Then week 2 is an introduction to Python. We go through Python pretty quickly, right? This is because, first of all, you don't need to know Python extremely well to do this stuff. You need to know the basics only, really. You don't need to be this extravagant Python developer to do these things. Although if you are a good Python developer, you could probably build some really, really cool stuff. But you don't need to be, right? So we go through it pretty quickly. And it's also for the people that really know Python. We don't want to take up too much of their time either. So we have a nice 1 week of review or 1 day of review. And then we jump into more intermediate Python, talk about the functions and classes. And then we jump right into this. And I probably have to update this. But in week 3, we actually go into using Lumibot, installing it on your computer, and placing your first trades. We'll be doing in week 3, right? Okay, and then part 2, we're going to have weeks 4 and 5, right? So week 4, I could pretty much guarantee you by the time week 4 rolls around, you're going to have a bot running on your computer and placing trades for you, right? We're going to have this thing installed on your computer. We're going to hook up to some different brokerages. We're going to show you how to connect to a few different brokers, make sure they actually have some trades placed, right? And you'll have a working bot by the end of week 4, right? We actually have a guarantee, by the way, on our course. If you go through all 8 weeks of our course, I guarantee you that you will have a bot working on your computer and trading. If not, we give you your money back plus, where is this? We give you your money back plus $400. We have this guarantee for that, right? Okay, so I'm very confident that you guys will all have bots running on your computer. Okay, so that's week 4, setting up your crypto bot, making sure it places trades. By week 5, what we're going to be doing is we're going to cover back testing. So kind of like what I showed you today, simulating trading in the past, right? So how would your strategy have done if you had invested in 2020 or 2021, right? And back testing is very important because it gives you a really good indication, is this a good idea or not? Are you going to make money on this in the future or not, right? So we're going to teach you how to do the back testing. We're going to run through how to get the data, how to actually do the analysis and all that sort of stuff, right? So by the end of week 5, you'll have a working bot back testing going. And then part 3, which is weeks 6, 7, and 8, we're going to go over a lot of different examples. I'm going to give you all the strategies that we went over today. You'll get all of those and more, right? We're going to show you how to build a technical analysis bot. We'll show you how to build your own ETF, right? It's kind of like that custom ETF thing. We'll show you how to connect to APIs, such as like social media, Discord, Telegram, all that kind of stuff. Reddit is kind of the main thing that we go through in here. And then we'll also show you how to use machine learning, right? And if, for those of you that don't know what machine learning is, I know one of you is an expert in this, which is awesome. I'd love to see what you can build. That'd be really, really cool. if you joined our classes. I want to see what you come up with. But we'll show you the basics of how to apply machine learning to crypto and to these bots. And we'll show you some of our machine learning bots. And spoiler alert, machine learning does a pretty damn good job in trading, especially if you set it up correctly. It can be very, very valuable. Basically, machine learning is using artificial intelligence, right? It's the basis behind artificial intelligence. Machine learning is what makes self-driving cars. Machine learning is what powers Alexa and Google Home. Machine learning is what powers the Facebook algorithm, right? What recommendations for Netflix and for Amazon. So it's doing all these incredible things. You could use machine learning to look at pictures of X-rays to find out if someone has cancer or not. Like, machine learning is changing the world quite dramatically. This is basically what we're calling artificial intelligence. Is the basis of it is machine learning, right? And we'll teach you how to use those types of techniques in trading. If you can imagine, if it's machine learning, if it could drive a car, imagine what it could do for your stock trading portfolio or your crypto trading portfolio. It can automatically figure things out and make trades in an optimal way to make you a lot of money. Right, so we'll teach you how to do that. Okay, and that's our 8-week-long course. By the end of it, I guarantee you're going to have some bots training your computer and hopefully making you some good money. You could actually watch some of our stuff with like some testimonials or whatever. You can see some of there's a bunch of stuff I could show you guys where people have ran their algorithms or are making very good money doing this sort of stuff. Right. Okay, cool. So that's our course, 8 weeks long. So we have 3 plans for this course. Okay, we have our self-directed plan, we have our live classes plan, and then we have our project help and tutoring plan. Okay, and they each build on each other, right? So everything that's in self-directed is also in live. Everything that's in live is also in project help. It's just adding more and more features, right? So self-directed is basically you're just watching. You're getting access to a video library, right? You're watching pre-recorded videos, past live classes, right? You're getting access to all that video library. You get lifetime access to this stuff. You're getting access to a lot of support, right? So you get access to one-on-one support over Discord, and we could also jump on calls if necessary. So if you get stuck, you get a lot of support throughout this whole process. It's not like you're just doing this stuff on your own. You get access to support. You get access to our video library. You get access to our community, right? We have our weekly discussion hour. I was showing you that earlier today. Basically, everyone gets together and talks about what kind of algorithms they're building and what kind of money they're making, all that kind of stuff. You get access to all our private Discord community. And then you, of course, get access to all the code, right? So all of the strategies that we went through today, you're going to get access to all that code, and you're going to be able to use it however you want to use it, right? Okay, so that's our self-directed plan, right? Basically, it's watching pre-recorded videos, right? Our live class plan takes all of that, right? You get the code, you get the videos, you get access to our community, you get support. And then on top of that, you're also joining this class live, right? So it's kind of like what we're doing right now, except it's live over Zoom. We don't do this through Circle, we do this over Zoom. And basically, the instructor, in this case, is going to be myself who teaches this class, right? But this goes for any of our classes, really. The instructor is going to be teaching the class, and then you're going to be able to ask questions throughout, right? So you could turn on your microphone, you could share your screen, you could, show us whatever you're working on, and we can make sure that you fully understand this, that you're really caught up to speed, right? So these live classes is really a lot like actually sitting live in person, right? We don't have classes like this in person. It's just a very specific topic. It doesn't make sense in cities other than like New York. But you get to join these live classes and you can ask questions throughout. If you're stuck with anything, we can share screens and you can see, we can make sure that you get unstuck and make sure that you go through this very quickly and easily, right? Sometimes, learning how to code or learning a new skill can be a bit challenging. Something that, might take you 2 hours to figure out. If you share your screen, it might take 2 minutes for me to just point you in the right direction and say, hey, by the way, you're missing a comma there, right? So you don't have to bang your head against the wall trying to learn how to code without any kind of guidance. We'll spend a lot of time helping you, right? So that's our live classes plan. And as is in the name, you get to have those live classes on top of all those other things, right? You also get the code, you also get the video recordings, you also get the access to community and all that sort of stuff, right? So that's self-directed, that's live. Then we have our Project Help tutoring plan, and this is becoming quite popular, actually. Before we would have live classes be the most popular. I feel like Project Help tutoring is actually becoming our most popular plan right now. And Project Help tutoring is basically everything that we just talked about, right? You get access to the videos, you get access to the community, you get access to lots of support. This one comes with lots and lots of one-on-one support. We say 10 hours, but you could probably spend a heck of a lot more than that. We don't really put a cap on that. And on top of that, you get to be part of those live classes. And on top of that, you also get access to our software engineers, right? We have a team of people that can build algorithms for you, and you get access to those people as well. So you get 10 hours of development time, right? So let's say you're taking our class and, maybe you're new to programming, or maybe you just want to make sure that things are built correctly, right? Then what we can do is you have this model where you're taking our classes and you're learning how to do this stuff. And then we could also have software developers actually build out parts of this for you, so that then you can get moving really, really quickly, right? So we could build out kind of the beginning parts for you, and then you learn how to modify it. Or maybe you're building it out and then you get stuck somewhere. You want us to build one specific feature for you. We can do that for you. You get access to our software development team. You really get a lot of support with this Project Help and Tutoring plan. Okay? So those are our 3 plans. They all build on top of each other, right? Okay, here's those prices for those 3 different plans. Okay? So our self-directed plan is about $17.50, right? 3 and 5 month payment plans are available in case you need to pay this over a longer time period, right? And here's all the stuff that you get again, right? So you get a lifetime access to our library, you get lifetime access to our code, you get access to our community, the private community, you get instructor support, right? So if you ever need me to help you, you get stuck anywhere, I'll help you out with all that kind of stuff. We can jump on calls and whatnot. And then you get access to our weekly discussion hour, which is quite popular with a lot of our students, where people will share the different algorithms that they're working on and what's making the money and what's not. It's a very interesting thing to join every week, right? Okay, so it's our self-directed plan. And then we have our live plan, which builds on top of that. So everything from self-directed plan is in this, right? Then you also get the 8 weeks of live classes, right? They're about 2 hours per week. You get lots of live Q&A, right? You get access to all future videos and code. You get help with 2 personal projects throughout this. You'll get to know your classmates. It becomes like a community. You also get help with your resume if that's what you want. And you get unlimited chat Q&A. We'll help you out over or Discord for as much as you need. This one's around $4,000, and again has a 3 and 5 month payment plan available, right? And then we have our Project Help tutoring plan. This is our most sophisticated plan, becoming also our most popular plan very quickly. This one's about $5,800. Again, it has everything from self-directed and live, so you get those live classes, you get everything, and then on top of that, you get obviously the live classes are coming up. And you get access to help with the custom project. So we'll get our software engineers involved, help actually build this stuff. We'll look at this code, we'll write software code for you, and then we'll give you a lot of one-on-one time and help to make sure that you get where you need to get to. So if you have a specific project in mind, or if you're really serious about the stuff, you want to make sure it gets done right and quickly with as little frustration as possible, this is the plan to go for, right? This one's about $5,800, and there's 3 and 5 month payment plans available as well. Right. Cool. Okay. So those are our plans there. If you want to join, again, we have this guarantee. Like I said, if you go through this course, and assuming you actually show up to class, right? This is not applicable if you just decide not to show up and do anything. But assuming you actually show up and put in, a decent amount of time, ask for help when you need it. If you still with that can't get a bot to work, I've never seen it happen, by the way. This is never in my life. We've been teaching this for a while now. Never have I seen anyone go through this. But if somehow you're not able to get a bot working on your computer, not only will I give you your money back, but I'll give you an extra $400 just for your time, right? And that's my guarantee, signed, legally binding, right? So in case you have that in the back of your mind, you're thinking you're not going to be able to get this done, believe me, I'll be able to. I've taught people that don't even know how to use a computer. People are completely illiterate. I told them, hey, go to your downloads folder on your computer. And they're like, what are you talking about? I've taught people like that to put algorithms on their computer and run them. If I could teach them, I'm guaranteed I can teach you how to do this stuff, right? We've been doing this for a long, long time. Cool, so that's my guarantee to you. The next live class that's coming up, and again, our live classes are definitely the most popular. Our next live class that's coming up starts on October 12th. I know some people in this chat are already in that class, so it's great. So I'll see you guys there. But it starts on October 12th. It goes for 8 weeks long, excluding holidays. So this, I think, falls on Thanksgiving. So we're going to skip Thanksgiving, of course. We recommend around 8 to 12 hours per week. That we're pretty flexible around that. Some people need less, some people need more. You can take it kind of at your own pace. By the way, with these live classes, if you go through a live class and let's say life happens, right? You get a new job. A lot of people go through our classes and get new jobs, right? You're educating yourself. Chances are you're going to get a promotion or something like that. Or, maybe you're moving or whatever else. If life gets in the way and you can't attend class for whatever reason, you're able to take the next class afterwards, right? So you can keep retaking these things as much as you want. There's people actually that have taken our classes, 3 years ago and decided to retake it recently because they want to see our new technology. Things have evolved a lot. They want to see the new tech. They want to see the new strategies. You could just jump in to new classes whenever you want, right? So it starts on October 12th, but you could keep retaking this thing over and over if you want. This class is going to be every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. Pacific, right? And it's about 2 hours per week. We range from 2 to 3 hours per week, depending on what topic matter we cover and how many questions there are. But it's about a 2-week-long class every week that you're going to be a part of, right? And then, of course, you get lots of one-on-one help outside of that. You can jump on calls outside of that, chat on Discord, all that kind of stuff. You get lots of support, right? So this one's coming up very soon. That's in, give or take some like 3 to 4 weeks. So starting very, very soon, right? If you want to sign up to that, you can click on this select course button down here, right? And basically it's going to take you to your cart, right? Here I have 2 things in my cart. By the way, if you add 2 or more classes to your cart, you automatically get 10% off. So here I automatically am saving $800 because I have both of these in my cart. And then you're going to check out and all that kind of stuff. If you have a coupon code, you can stick it in here and then, we'll check out and you can pick basically, do you want to use a payment plan or not on this page here? You get to pick payment plan, right? If you want that 3 or 5 months. If you don't check that off, right? And then you fill in all your information here, right? Cool. Okay. And that's pretty much it for the course. If you scroll down here, you could read a little bit about my background, right? Okay. Kind of some of the companies I've been involved in and all that kind of stuff. There's also testimonials here. So don't just take my word for it. You can see a lot of our students. We pride ourselves on having some very happy students and successful students that are making some good money using these algorithms. You could watch these videos and really learn more about some of these guys and what their background was and how they started doing this stuff. Agim, for example, I could tell you, he came to us like 2 years ago or something, didn't know how to code. We taught him how to code. And then it really, he's taken off. He actually runs a business now where he gives trading signals to people. And last I heard, he's actually making pretty good money doing that. So kudos to Agim, making some great strides in this arena. Renee, also went through our classes, did quite well. Santayan, this guy's on our Discord quite often. Last I heard, this guy was making like 400 or 500% a year trading using his algorithms, so doing quite well. You could watch his video as well. Joel, he's taken quite a few of our classes too. I feel like he's learned a lot from what we've gone through here. You could watch these videos on basically what each one of these guys have done and see, kind of the background for each one of them, right? Okay, and then if you want to get more testimonials, you could also go under more testimonials. There's a bunch in there. There's a bunch on our YouTube channel as well. We have a whole playlist of just testimonials. So if you want to know, is this right for me? Or if you want to see, some past people that have done this, you can do that. You can check them out here, right? Don't take my word for it. Watch these testimonials, see that we definitely have some very happy students coming through our classes. All right. Definitely put in a lot of work to make sure that happens. Cool. Okay, and that's pretty much it for today. We talked about how the next course starts on October 12th. It's on every Wednesday, right? Do you guys have any last questions for me? I know you guys have been asking questions throughout, but do you have any last questions now that we're at the end of the presentation? I'll give you guys a little bit of time to respond. I know there's actually even a little lag here. Either way, I know some of you guys are already going to be attending, so looking forward to seeing you guys in this next class. Every time we do this, the class keeps getting better and better. We have newer technology. We have, getting more experience teaching this stuff, so we get better at actually showcasing these things. There's, people love these classes, and, I keep trying to make them better and better and better. We ask feedback after every class, so it's trying to keep improving this thing, Cool. And if you guys do have any more questions outside of this, let's say you want to ask anything else, you can email me, rob@lumiwealth.com, right? Or you can find me on our Discord, which is right here, right? You can go to our Discord channel, and I'm usually pretty quick to respond there on Discord. So if you do have any questions, you can go there. And email me or message me on Discord, right? If you have any questions right now, again, feel free to type them in. I'm going to wait a little bit longer to hear your responses. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed the demos. I hope you guys enjoyed this whole discussion around algorithmic trading. I love this stuff, as you could tell. This is something that I'm very, very passionate about, and I really strongly believe this is the future of finance and investing. I would be shocked if 5-10 years from now, we're still having a lot of people investing manually. Actually, I don't know if you guys even knew this, by the way. There's a statistic that I think is kind of shocking. About 95% of all trades are placed by algorithms already, right? So if you're thinking that, algorithms are this like fringe thing out of nowhere, they're actually the majority of the market right now. And if you're not using algorithms, you're actually at a disadvantage, right? That's just the way that it is. And people make a lot more money trading algorithms than they do trading manually, right? That's just the way life is, right? Cool. All right. So I don't see anyone typing out any questions, but again, you have my email, you have the Discord. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. I love talking to potential students and our students. This is, what I love to do. So why we started this company, because it's something that we are very passionate about. So feel free to message me, and I hope to see you guys in our class. Class starts very soon, October 12th. I hope to see you guys there soon, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you very much for participating, and good night.